the galaxy never took humans seriously. When Earth first sent ships beyond its small solar system, other alien races saw them as weak, clumsy, and foolish. They laughed at humans, small creatures from a blue planet who thought they could stand among ancient civilizations. In galactic councils, they called humans dust species. In trade routes, they were known as the beggars of the stars. But they had no idea what kind of creature humanity really was. It started with a man named Captain Elias Ward. He wasn't special, not by Earth's standards. A soldier-turned-explorer, he commanded a small ship called the Resolve, a human vessel meant for peace and science. But peace didn't last long in the galaxy. During a deep space survey near the edge of Dominion territory, the Resolve was attacked by alien raiders, the Varnak. The Varnak were known for cruelty. They believed humans were soft. So they boarded the ship, expecting an easy victory. They were wrong. When they came through the airlock, they found the lights flickering and the corridors silent. There was no sound of panic, no shouting crew. The raiders spread through the ship, searching. Then, a sound echoed from the lower decks. A human voice whispered through the comms. "You shouldn't have come here." The Varnak laughed. One of them hissed in his language, "The prey thinks it can scare us." Then the lights went out. The next few minutes were chaos. The raiders heard footsteps in the dark. One by one, their trackers vanished from the radar. One screamed, then silence. Another tried to run for the exit, but the doors were locked from inside. When the lights returned, Captain Ward stood alone in the corridor. Around him, bodies of the Varnak. Not one survived. That recording spread fast through the galaxy. Everyone watched it. A single human ship, outnumbered, destroying an elite alien squad. The aliens began to whisper a new name for humans, the silent kind. But that was only the beginning. Years later, the Galactic Dominion sent a fleet to occupy a small human colony on Kepler 9. They expected surrender. Instead, they found the colonists had fortified every street, every tunnel, every building. When the Dominion fleet bombarded the surface, the humans didn't die, they disappeared underground. Then, at night they struck back. Dominion soldiers vanished without a trace. Their machines were found sabotaged. One commander said in his final transmission, "They move like shadows. They fight without fear. They don't stop." By the time the Dominion realized what was happening, the humans had taken over their supply lines. Entire alien battalions were forced to retreat from a single colony of human farmers and engineers. The galaxy began to understand something terrifying. Humans didn't need to be the strongest. They didn't need advanced weapons or huge fleets. They had something far more dangerous: resolve. Every other race had evolved in comfort. They lived under stable stars, safe worlds, peaceful histories. Humanity had survived fire, ice, famine, and war, all on one small planet. Pain was nothing new to them. Fear was just another thing to overcome. When aliens saw a human smile in battle, they didn't understand. When they saw humans fighting even after losing everything, they thought it was madness. But it wasn't madness. It was humanity's greatest weapon. Captain Ward became a legend. The Dominion tried to capture him, sending assassins and fleets. None returned. Rumors said he was building something, a secret human fleet, hidden in dark space. The galaxy mocked humanity once. They don't anymore. Now, whenever alien fleets hear the human distress beacon, that simple call for help, they hesitate. Because every time humans send that signal, it isn't a cry for rescue. It's a warning. And in the shadows of deep space, a silent voice always follows. "You shouldn't have come here." The story of Captain Elias Ward spread faster than any ship in the galaxy. Some believed he was dead. Others said he was building an army in the dark. But no one truly knew. The truth was hidden far beyond the Dominion's reach, in a dead zone of space where no signal escaped, and no ship dared to travel. There, inside the remains of an old mining station, humanity was preparing for something the galaxy could never imagine. The place was called Outpost 17, but the humans called it the Forge. Every corner of the forge echoed with metal and heat. Engineers worked in silence, welding armored hulls for ships that didn't exist on any galactic record. AI drones moved like ghosts, carrying weapon cores made from stolen Dominion tech. And in the center of it all, Captain Ward stood before a giant window, staring at the dark stars beyond. He had changed. His face was older, eyes colder. The war with the Dominion had taken everything from him: his crew, his home, even Earth's faith in peace. But Ward didn't care about peace anymore. He wanted survival. Beside him stood Lieutenant Mara Vex, his second in command. A former Dominion scientist who defected after seeing what humans could do. Her voice was calm but full of warning. "Captain, once we launch the fleet, there's no turning back. The Dominion will come with everything they have." Ward's eyes didn't move. "Then let them come," he said quietly. "We'll show them what fear really means." The first test ship, the Revenant, launched that night. It was unlike any human or alien craft. Silent, black, almost invisible to sensors. Built for stealth, not glory. Its engines left no trail, and its weapons hit before targets even knew it was there. The Dominion's patrols began disappearing one after another. No signals. No wreckage. Just silence. Their admirals started whispering that the Ghost Fleet was real, a fleet made by humans, hunting them one ship at a time. In truth, only 3 ships existed so far. But the galaxy didn't know that. Fear made it sound like thousands. While the Dominion grew paranoid, the humans expanded the Forge. They traded secretly with smaller alien races who were tired of Dominion control. For the first time, humans weren't begging for help. Others were coming to them. Even the Varnak, the same race that once mocked humanity, sent an envoy in secret. They offered resources in exchange for protection. Ward didn't trust them, but he accepted. Every ally, even a former enemy, could be useful. Meanwhile, the Dominion was breaking apart from inside. Generals argued, colonies rebelled, and spies reported that humans had infiltrated their data networks. Every time they tried to strike back, their own systems failed. It was like the humans were inside their minds. And then came the night of the Arcturus ambush. The Dominion fleet tracked a false human signal near the Arcturus belt, a trap set by Ward himself. 50 Dominion warships arrived, ready for battle. They expected to find a small human scout vessel. Instead, they found nothing. Then, out of the darkness, 3 human ships appeared: the Revenant, the Eclipse, and the Harbinger. They attacked with terrifying precision. Their weapons didn't shine or roar. They whispered beams of cold light cutting through steel. Dominion ships exploded before they could even lock targets. The human ships moved like predators in a storm, vanishing into the shadows between attacks. Within 20 minutes, 40 Dominion warships were gone. The rest fled. The recording of that battle reached every corner of the galaxy. And this time, no one laughed at humans. For the first time in history, alien children grew up hearing stories about the silent humans, soldiers who fought without fear, ships that killed without warning, and a captain who whispered through static, "You shouldn't have come here." But Ward wasn't finished. He looked at the stars, knowing the Dominion would strike back harder. He turned to Mara and said, "We've shown them what fear feels like. Now, it's time they remember who taught it to them." And as the forge glowed brighter, new ships were born. Faster, deadlier, and ready for war. The galaxy that once mocked mankind was now holding its breath. Because the humans, the so-called dust species, were becoming something else. Something unstoppable. Something to fear. The Dominion could no longer ignore the humans. After the disaster at Arcturus, their fleets trembled at every shadow. The loss of 50 ships to only 3 human vessels had become a stain on their honor. To them, humans were no longer just a nuisance, they were a threat to galactic order. So the Dominion gathered everything. Hundreds of warships, planet destroyers, mercenaries, even bounty hunters. They formed the largest armada ever seen in the galaxy. Their goal was simple: find Captain Elias Ward and end humanity once and for all. But Ward was already waiting. From his command deck inside the Harbinger, he watched the Dominion fleet gather near the Helios Rift, a region filled with magnetic storms and drifting asteroids. It was the perfect battlefield for him. Beside him, Lieutenant Mara Vex read the incoming scans. "They've brought half their navy, Captain. We can't face them head-on." Ward smiled faintly. "Good. Let them think we'll run." He turned to his crew. "Begin Phase 1. Deep in the rift, hidden mines activated. Massive asteroids shifted position, guided by human drones." The Dominion fleet entered the area cautiously, sensors flickering in the storm. They didn't see the traps waiting in the dark. The first explosion tore through the leading ships. The blast echoed across the rift. Panic spread. The Dominion commander shouted orders, trying to form defensive lines, but their systems jammed. Human signal scramblers blinded their targeting. Then came the whispers. Across open comms, every Dominion ship heard the same voice, calm, human, and cold. "You shouldn't have come here." At that moment, the Ghost fleet struck. The Revenant came from below, firing silent kinetic rounds that ripped through enemy armor. The Eclipse emerged from the magnetic clouds, releasing pulse drones that disabled enemy engines. And the Harbinger, Ward's flagship, unleashed its plasma lances with surgical precision, cutting entire cruisers in half. The Dominion returned fire blindly, hitting only empty space. Their commanders screamed in confusion. The rift became chaos, flashes of light, broken hulls drifting, comms filled with terrified voices. Mara watched the battle unfold. "They're scattering, Captain. Their formation is collapsing." Ward's eyes were steady. "Push them deeper into the storm. Make them lose sight of the stars." The humans didn't fight for glory. They fought like hunters, using the rift itself as a weapon. Every asteroid became a shield. Every energy storm hid their movements. Within an hour, the massive Dominion armada, the pride of their empire, was nothing but wreckage. Only one enemy ship remained. It was the flagship Dominator, carrying High Marshal Zether, the one who had called humans dust. Ward opened a direct channel. "This is Captain Elias Ward of the human fleet," he said calmly. "You wanted the end of mankind. Here it is." Zether's face appeared on the holoscreen, furious, desperate. "You think you've won, human? You're still nothing but insects. We are eternal." A beam of white light cut through the screen. The Harbinger's main cannon fired once. The Dominator exploded silently, its light swallowed by the rift. No celebration followed. No cheers. The humans simply turned and disappeared into the storm. The galaxy received the recordings days later. The destruction of the Dominion armada shocked every species. For the first time, the galaxy understood what humans were capable of when cornered. But to Ward, this victory wasn't enough. He knew the Dominion still ruled hundreds of worlds. They would rebuild, and they would come again. Humanity's survival depended on something greater: unity. From the Forge, Ward sent a signal across the stars. To every human colony, to every outpost and lost ship, the time for silence is over. We are not prey. We are not dust. We are the storm that comes when the galaxy forgets what fear is. That message spread like wildfire. On every human world, people stood taller. Soldiers who once hid behind walls now prepared for war. Engineers built faster ships, stronger armor. Farmers volunteered to serve. The galaxy had mocked mankind once. Now, it whispered a new name in fear: the human ascendancy. And somewhere deep in space, Captain Elias Ward stared at the growing fleet before him. He whispered to himself, "Let them come again. We'll be ready." The forge glowed brighter, and from its depths, dozens of new ships launched into the black. Silent, deadly, unstoppable. The war for humanity's place in the galaxy had only just begun. The galaxy was no longer laughing. After the fall of the Dominion Armada, humans had become a name spoken with respect and fear. The smaller races, once bullied by the Dominion, now looked to Captain Elias Ward and the Ghost Fleet for protection. Trade routes reopened under human watch. Colonies thrived again. For a short time, there was peace. But deep inside the Dominion's remaining territories, something darker was being built. They called it Project Oblivion, a secret weapon that could erase entire fleets in a single breath. The Dominion had lost its pride, but not its hunger for power. Their new leader, High Marshal Serix, was not like Zether. He was colder, smarter, and he didn't underestimate humans. Serix watched recordings of Captain Ward's battles again and again. He uses fear as a weapon, he said to his scientists. Then we shall give him something to fear. Back in the forge, life moved fast. New ships were being built every day. The humans were no longer hiding, they were expanding. The Harbinger led a fleet of 30 stealth cruisers now, and each one was deadlier than before. Lieutenant Mara Vex stood on the bridge, reading new reports. Dominion forces are quiet, sir. Too quiet. No patrols. No scouts. Nothing for 2 months. Ward frowned. They're planning something. He was right. When the humans sent a recon drone toward the edge of the Vega system, the transmission they received was only 2 seconds long. Then silence. The signal burned out instantly, like it had been swallowed by space itself. Hours later, a distress call came from Kepler 9, the first human colony that had ever resisted the Dominion. The message was short and broken. The sky, it's burning, everything. Then it was gone. Ward's chest tightened. Prepare the fleet. We're going back to Kepler. When the Harbinger and its escorts arrived, what they found was not war, it was extinction. The planet was gone. Not destroyed, not bombed. Gone. Where Kepler 9 had once been, there was only a hole, a sphere of blackness surrounded by drifting debris, like the universe itself had taken a bite out of reality. Mara whispered. What could do this? The scanners failed to read anything. Gravity twisted near the edges of the void. Energy readings were unstable. Ward stared at it, silent, knowing this was no natural phenomenon. The Dominion had created something new. Something beyond weapons. Within hours, Dominion ships appeared on the other side of the void. They didn't fire. They simply watched, as if sending a message. Then a transmission came through. The voice was calm, almost mocking. Captain Ward. We call it the Oblivion Engine. It eats light, matter, even time. You brought fear to the galaxy. Now, we bring silence. The transmission ended, and the ships vanished into hyperspace. For the first time, Ward felt something he hadn't in years: helplessness. Humanity could fight armies, fleets, and empires. But how do you fight a weapon that devours worlds? Back on the forge, panic spread. News of Kepler's disappearance broke morale. Families who had relatives on that colony demanded answers. Even some captains in the fleet questioned Ward's leadership. Maybe we went too far, one of them said. Maybe this war should end before none of us are left. Ward listened quietly, then looked out at the stars. If we stop now, he said slowly, then every human world will end like Kepler. The only choice we have is to fight smarter. He gathered his command team, Mara, the engineers, the intelligence officers. Together they studied the last sensor data before Kepler vanished. Buried deep in the static, they found a faint energy signature, a repeating pulse, like a heartbeat. It's not just a weapon, Mara said softly. It's alive. Ward nodded. Then we'll find where it sleeps. The forge changed after that. The laughter and pride were gone. Every worker, every soldier moved with quiet purpose. Humanity was no longer fighting for revenge, it was fighting for survival. Weeks passed. Scouts spread through the void, tracing the pulse signal. The Dominion thought humans would hide. Instead, they hunted. And in the heart of dark space, beyond the borders of any map, The signal grew stronger, steady, rhythmic, like the breathing of a sleeping beast. Ward stood before the window of the Harbinger, eyes fixed on the endless black ahead. He whispered, "You wanted fear, Serix. You're about to meet it." The fleet prepared to jump. Humanity's greatest war was about to begin again, not against an empire, but against something far worse. The galaxy had mocked mankind once. Now, it was praying humanity would survive. The human fleet moved through the dark edges of the galaxy, following the strange pulse that had destroyed Kepler-9. It was faint, one beat every few minutes, like a slow, sleeping heart. But the deeper they went, the louder it grew. Captain Elias Ward stood on the bridge of the Harbinger, staring into the black space beyond. No stars, no light, only the endless void. Around him, the fleet floated silently. 30 ships, engines low, weapons charged. Lieutenant Mara Vex watched the scanners. Pulse increasing, Captain. We're close. Ward nodded. Keep distance. I don't want another Kepler. Then it appeared. A massive object drifted in the dark, miles wide, shaped like a black star. It wasn't made of metal or rock. It looked alive. Its surface shifted like liquid, covered in strange patterns that pulsed with light. Every few seconds, it sent out a wave of invisible energy that bent gravity around it. Mara whispered, "The Oblivion engine." Ward's face hardened. "No. It's not an engine. It's a creature. The Dominion hadn't built this. They had found it." Before the humans could react, their systems began to fail. Lights flickered, engines shut down. The creature pulsed again, and the ships drifted helplessly toward it. "Engines offline," shouted the pilot. "Shields collapsing." Ward gritted his teeth. "All ships, reverse thrust manually. Get us out of the pull." The hull of the Harbinger groaned as invisible energy dragged it forward. The creature opened a massive eye, glowing like a dying sun, and for a moment, everyone on the bridge felt it watching them. Not with sight, but with thought. Mara gasped. It's in my head." Ward slammed his hand on the console. "Focus. Block it out." But the voice came anyway. Not through speakers, but straight into their minds, deep and echoing. "You are noise in the dark. You were never meant to rise." Every human froze. The creature wasn't a weapon, it was ancient, older than any civilization. Maybe older than the galaxy itself. Ward felt pain shoot through his skull. Images flashed in his mind, worlds collapsing, stars dying, civilizations erased. The creature had done this before. It had ended empires long before humans even existed. Then, suddenly, a new voice broke through the comms. "Captain Ward, this is Commander Rain aboard the Eclipse. We have a plan to overload its pulse field. We can trap it." Mara turned sharply. "Rain? That's suicide." Ward looked at the screen. "Do it." The Eclipse moved forward, charging its core reactor. Energy flared around it like lightning. The creature reacted instantly, focusing its gaze on the ship. "Come on," Rain whispered. "Just a little closer." Then the reactor exploded. The blast lit up the void, shaking the fleet. For a second, the creature recoiled, its pulse flickered, weakened. Ward gave the order immediately. "All ships, fire everything." Missiles, plasma, and kinetic rounds tore through the dark. The creature screamed, a sound that vibrated through every human bone. It wasn't dying, but it was hurt. "Pull back," Ward shouted. "Now." The fleet retreated, engines roaring back to life. Behind them, the creature writhed and vanished into the black, its pulse fading once more. The battle was over. But not the cost. Half the fleet was gone. The Eclipse was destroyed. Hundreds were dead. And in the silence that followed, something else broke. When the surviving ships regrouped at the forge, a coded transmission reached Ward's ship, sent from an unknown source. It was from Mara. Ward played it privately. Her voice was low, shaking. "Elias, If you're hearing this, then I'm already gone. I found something in the Dominion's old archives. They didn't just find the creature, they made a deal with it. The Oblivion engine wasn't built to destroy humans. It was built to control them. The Dominion promised it something. Something only we have. Static cut her off. The message ended abruptly. Ward froze. Control them. What does that mean? He ran a system scan, but it was too late. The forge's lights dimmed. The alarms blared. A voice echoed through every speaker. The silence spreads. The creature's pulse signal had found them. Mara was gone, possibly captured. The forge was under attack, not by ships, but by the creature itself, reaching across the void through energy and thought. Ward stood, eyes burning with fury. It wants us afraid. It wants us broken. He clenched his fist. It will learn fear instead. As the forge shuddered and the walls glowed with strange black light, Ward gave his final order. Activate the Exodus Protocol. Every ship leaves now. We take the fight to the heart of the Dominion. If this thing wants humanity, he paused, voice turning cold, it can come and face us. The humans jumped into hyperspace, their fleet fractured but alive. Behind them, the forge began to collapse into itself, consumed by darkness. The galaxy trembled once again. Humanity had faced gods, empires, and monsters, but this time, something far older had awakened. And it had noticed them. The forge was gone. All that remained was darkness, and the sound of the creature's endless pulse echoing through deep space. Humanity's heart had been torn out, but its spirit still burned. Captain Elias Ward stood on the bridge of the Harbinger, surrounded by tired faces and silent monitors. The fleet was smaller now, only 12 ships remained. They had escaped the destruction, but the cost was heavy. Families lost. Friends gone. And Mara, she had vanished. Ward hadn't slept in days. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the flash of the forge collapsing, and her voice, that broken message, replayed in his mind. They didn't just find the creature. They made a deal with it. But what deal? And what did it want from humans? Mara's last signal had come from Dominion space. So that's where Ward went. The fleet jumped into enemy territory, silent, cloaked, and angry. The Dominion's core systems were still powerful, defended by huge orbital fortresses. But Ward wasn't planning a war. He was planning a rescue. Locate the source of Mara's signal, he ordered. It took hours. Then the AI confirmed it, an old Dominion research world named Nereth 4. Once a weapons lab, now completely off the records. Ward looked out the viewport. Prepare for infiltration. We go in quiet. The fleet stopped at the edge of the system. From there, the Harbinger sent a small strike team down to the planet. The surface was empty. Gray skies, ruined cities, no life signs. But underground, they found something worse than war. Rows of human bodies, frozen in tanks, connected to machines. Some alive, some not. Their brains linked by strange cables glowing with black light. What is this place? One soldier whispered. Ward's voice was cold. It's feeding on them. Screens flickered to life around them. Dominion symbols flashed, followed by a message, Mara's face. But her eyes were different now, black, with faint light pulsing inside. Elias! Her voice echoed softly. You shouldn't have come. Ward froze. Mara? What did they do to you? She looked calm, almost peaceful. The Dominion thought they could control the creature. But they didn't understand it. It doesn't serve anyone. It feeds on fear, on memory, on pain. It uses the strongest minds it touches, and now it's using me. The soldiers stepped back in shock. Mara continued. It showed me what it really is. It's not from our galaxy. It came before everything, a shadow from another universe, older than light itself. The Dominion woke it up, and now it wants more. It wants your people, Elias. Ward's voice trembled for the first time. Then we'll stop it. She shook her head slowly. You can't stop it. But maybe I can. It's connected to me now. If I pull hard enough, I can drag it back into the void. Ward took a step forward, voice breaking. No. You'll die. She smiled faintly. Someone has to. You always said fear is only real when you let it be. Don't let it win. Before Ward could speak, alarms blared. The creature's pulse shook the entire planet, stronger than ever. The walls cracked, energy surged through the ground. Mara's image flickered. Go, Elias. Take the fleet and run. I'll hold it. Ward slammed his hand on the comm. Mara. That's an order. But she was gone. Above, in orbit, the black clouds opened. A massive tear appeared in the sky, the creature emerging from it like smoke and light. Its voice thundered through every radio frequency. You cannot hide. You are mine. Ward's fleet rose from the planet's shadow and opened fire, every ship unleashing its full power. The creature screamed, but its body kept reforming, energy twisting like storm clouds. Then, deep below the surface, a blinding light erupted, the lab exploding from within. Mara had done it. A pulse of pure energy burst through the void, dragging the creature back into the rift. The sky turned white. The stars vanished. And then, silence. When the light faded, the rift was gone. The creature, gone. Nereth, 4. Nothing but debris. The fleet floated in the stillness of space. No movement. No signal. Just peace. Ward stood quietly, looking at the empty screen where Mara's face had been. One soldier whispered, "Did we win?" Ward didn't answer. He just watched the distant stars, his voice soft. No. She did. The fleet turned away from Dominion space, engines burning bright against the black. Humanity had survived again, but the cost was heavier than ever. And somewhere, in the endless dark between galaxies, something stirred once more, faint, distant, but alive. The pulse had not stopped completely. It had only gone quiet. For now. It had been 6 months since the Battle of Nereth. The galaxy was quiet again. Dominion fleets were broken, their power scattered. Human colonies rebuilt from ashes. For the first time in history, alien worlds and human outposts traded freely under one banner. The Accord, an alliance born from fear and forged in blood. And yet, Captain Elias Ward could not rest. He stood alone in his quarters aboard the Harbinger, staring at the stars. Every night, he heard it, a faint sound that no one else could hear. A slow, distant pulse. Like a heartbeat buried deep beneath the silence. He wanted to believe it was just his memory. But Ward knew better. He turned as Lieutenant Harper entered the room. "Sir, the Council is waiting. They want your report on Dominion activity." Ward nodded slowly. "Tell them I'll join soon." Harper hesitated. "You've been hearing it again, haven't you?" Ward didn't answer. He simply looked out the window, whispering, "It's not gone." Harper frowned. "Sir, the creature was destroyed. Mara made sure of it." Ward's jaw tightened. "That's what everyone believes. But I know what I felt that day. When the rift closed, something didn't die. It moved." Harper lowered her voice. "Moved where?" Ward turned toward her. "Into us." Later that night, during a fleet diagnostic, strange signals appeared across multiple human ships, faint rhythmic spikes in the neural networks of their AIs. The same pattern repeated everywhere, one steady beat, like a pulse. Technicians thought it was a glitch. Ward didn't. He gathered his command staff. "The signal is identical to the Oblivion frequency. It's using our own systems to grow." "Grow?" Harper asked. Ward nodded grimly. "It's adapting. When Mara overloaded the link, the creature didn't die. It transferred part of itself into our networks, into the technology we built from Dominion code." The room fell silent. Harper whispered, You mean it's inside the fleet? Ward looked at the screen. Dozens of ships, each carrying human lives. No. It's inside humanity. Days passed, and the signs grew clearer. Crew members reported dreams of black oceans, of endless eyes watching them. Machines acted on their own, doors opening, lights flickering, voices whispering through comms with no source. One night, Ward received a message on his private terminal. No sender. No encryption. Just 3 words. Fear never dies. He stared at it, his blood cold. Then, faintly, Mara's voice played behind the message, a recording he had never heard before. Elias, if you ever hear the pulse again, remember this. Fear isn't a monster. It's a mirror. What it shows us is ourselves. Ward sat in silence. He finally understood. The creature had fed on fear for eons, but now, humanity had taken that fear inside them. Not as weakness, but as power. It had become part of who they were. Maybe that was what made humans different. Other species feared death, loss, pain. Humans learned to turn fear into strength. He walked to the bridge, where the crew watched the starfields ahead. All systems normal, Captain, Harper reported. Ward nodded. Set course for the frontier. There are still colonies out there that need protection. As the Harbinger prepared for jump, the faint pulse returned, this time through the ship's hull. It didn't sound threatening anymore. It was steady, calm, almost alive. Harper looked up. Sir? That sound. Ward smiled faintly. It's not the creature anymore. It's us. The engines flared, and the ship jumped into hyperspace, light stretching into infinity. Months later, on a remote alien world, a group of young explorers uncovered ancient Dominion ruins. In the deepest chamber, they found carvings of a dark shape surrounded by stars, the same symbol once seen on the Oblivion engine. Below it, written in an old human dialect, were words carved by hand. We are what the galaxy fears. We are what endures. We are humanity. Back in orbit, the Harbinger drifted silently, watching the sunrise over a new human colony. Ward stood on the bridge, older now, tired but calm. He spoke softly, almost to himself. They mocked us once. They thought fear would break us. But fear made us what we are. The young ensign nearby looked up. Sir, what are we now? Ward's eyes followed the light spilling over the horizon. We're the reminder, he said, that even in the dark, something still fights back. The comms crackled softly. Somewhere in the static, a faint whisper answered, not of threat, but of memory. You shouldn't have come here. Ward smiled. Maybe we should have. The stars glowed brighter as humanity's fleet spread across the galaxy, not as conquerors, but as survivors. Carriers, science ships, and exploration vessels moved side by side, bearing the same emblem, a burning star surrounded by black rings. The mark of those who had faced fear, and won. And in the silent space between stars, the old pulse still echoed faintly, not as a warning anymore, but as a promise. Humanity endures. Humanity remembers. Humanity is coming.